Hi, this is Kevin Dale from Upscale Audio, and today we're going to talk about the brand new KLH Model 7 loudspeaker. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. I am blown away. I am one of the few people that you are going to meet that actually sold KLH back in the day when I was a young one. And to most people, KLH was started in 1957. And to most people, KLH stands for an acoustic suspension design, a sealed cabinet. And I mean, that's what the founders were into, right? KLH, Henry Close, Malcolm Lowe, and Joseph Hoffman. But Henry Close left the company in 1967 to go down the road of starting Advent and then Close Novabeam. He started Advent to sell a bunch of speakers so he could fund this crazy projection TV idea that he had. And I used to sell I never sold the Advent, but I tried to sell the Close Novabeam for years. And with all that work, I think I only ever sold one. But people don't know that after some time, that the later owners of the company, of KLH, made a bass reflex loudspeaker. And I used to sell those. It was called the KLH Baron 355. And that was in like 1978. And they were really, really nice. They were a great speaker. It had a real claim to fame. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it was? I mean, it had a glass top, so people like Rick James could do their lines of cocaine on top.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
How about that? But that's another story. So now KLH has been firmly planted back into the hands of people who care, that care about the legacy of the company and what it means to make a speaker that just kicks ass and that is beautifully built, that punches way above its weight and is just something that's special. But this speaker is like something that's different. When I started looking at it, I go, what the hell? I just kept staring and staring. I don't get it. I don't get it. It reminds me of something, reminds me of something. And then it hit me. I said, this looks like a pair of stacked Advents. If those of you know what that means. But then I thought, no, I don't think it looks like stacked Advents. Maybe the grill is throwing me off. And then I pulled off the grill. Watch me make a fool of myself. It's magnetic. And I looked at this baffle board and I said to myself, oh my God, this speaker reminds me of the Boston Acoustics A200, which was one of my favorite loudspeakers back in the day. But these are like way, way better than a Boston Acoustics A200. I mean, first off, they're built to last longer, but that's another story. But this speaker is designed that you can put it close to the wall. That's one of the reasons for the short cabinet. You can even put it like within 6 inches from the wall, and you can't do that with a lot of speakers. But it's the wide front baffle that I recognized. And the wide front baffle with the narrow cabinet depth helps to reduce or eliminate diffraction. And that gives the mid-band just a much nicer launch and a greater sense of clarity that you aren't going to get with some other loudspeakers, especially some of the narrow box speakers, like the later Bostons were just horrible. Anyway, they have a 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter and this really nice 5-inch paper cone mid-range driver, and it's in its own sealed sub-enclosure to protect it from the bass that's being developed in the cabinet, right? And I popped on some of my favorite cuts, man. You guys know I always talk about mid-range. I love vocals, right? And this speaker really, really did a great job. It was firing on all cylinders, but it was when we got to listening to music with bass. And oh my God, the bass. These guys were smart enough to do this, to design this cabinet, and then use a 13-inch driver, a big, badass 13-inch. More cone means less movement. Less movement can, and I think in this case does, mean less distortion. And the bass is so fast and tight, but it still exhibits this really fantastic warmth, and I think that is because of the choices they made. paper cone. And I just love that. I just wanted to like curl up with this speaker and hug it or something. I mean, really, it's just a fantastic product. And then finally, like I said, all the drivers have a rubber suspension. That means that they're going to last, unlike the old foam drivers back in the day. You're able to fine-tune the tonal balance with a 3-position switch on the back. They call it acoustic balance control. It is not for just the top end. It is for a specific region, kind of in the upper mid-range. That's a really nice touch. I dig the crossover. It's very well built. It's got a lot of parts on it. It's an 18 dB per octave crossover. And what that means is each driver is going to stay in its lane and not try to get into somebody else's business. I love that. And the cabinet is really, really well built. It's fully braced. You can tell it's done well. This thing weighs just about 79 pounds with the little stand that it comes with. And it comes in English walnut or West African mahogany. Now, I ran it with, it was interesting about amplification. It's 91 dB efficient, and that's pretty good, fairly sensitive. 88 dB efficient in a room. Not bad. It's got a 4 ohm impedance, but here's the thing. I ran it with a musical fidelity A1, which is 25 watts of Class A power. I mean, and it was a great match. But I was running it in a little bit of a smaller room, and I was hitting pretty good sound pressure. I mean, it was absolutely good enough for me. But if you are looking to do something that I would consider to be like the ultimate match, I think it would probably be a Prima Luna Evo 300 hybrid, because that is a real tube preamp, dual mono preamp, built into an unbelievable power amp. That's what I would run it with, I think. Or maybe a Pathos Logos. I mean, that would be another amazing choice. 2 badass hybrids. So what are the competitors for this? Well, is the Klipsch Forte 4, which is a great speaker, but you can't put it close to the back wall because it's got a big 15-inch passive radiator on it. So that ain't going to happen. The Fyne Audio 502 SP. I will say that the bass on this was a little bit deeper and a little bit tighter. The Fyne Audio, though, it has that point source sound that is indescribable, but that's another great competitor. But, you know, this is what I dig. I just, first off, I could not fault this speaker in any way, shape, or form. Second of all, though, I've got to say I love the fact that this is a no bullshit speaker that comes in line with other speakers that I sell that are a real value for the dollar. And that's where we're at. If you end up buying any of these speakers from us, don't waste your money unless you're willing to position them properly and take that time. Don't bother. And we're going to help you with that. We're going to send you instructions on a thumb drive or on a CD, all printed out. And then the guys that work for me worked for manufacturers. I mean, I got guys that work for VPI, Sumiko Clear Audio, Martin Logan, product trainers, product specialists that work for the manufacturers. That's who works here. They don't work on commission. So I'm telling you, they're going to act in your best interest in guiding you where you want to go. And then when you have questions afterwards, they're not on commission, so they're not going to try to dodge you because they're off trying to make a buck somewhere else. So look, come to our beautiful 10,000 square foot store here in Southern California. Hang out, we'll make you a coffee, we'll have a good time, we'll talk about stuff. Give my guys a call. Buy something that inspires you from people who really care. And that's why at Upscale Audio we say, we will treat your system like it's ours. Thanks.